Hey guys, it's RobJ here, and in today's video I'm going to be moving my Messor structor into their new ant space setup. So I'm going to be using 4 modules here, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit more about them after I tell you about the colony. So I've had this colony test tube based for about 6 to 7 months now. Just growing them up so they can leave the test tube. As you can see here, the test tube is quite full now, and as these ants like to collect seeds and everything, the test tube is really starting to become cramped. So what they've started doing is using the outer part on the lower level as a place for the brood as well. And I know this is perfectly fine and everything, but they, in my opinion, have outgrown their little test tube, which is obviously half filled with water anyway. So that's where I came up with this set of modules. I'm going to go with the small queen foundation module, as I think it's more size appropriate than the large foundation module. This is basically the test tube part. Then I chose the breaker module so I can close the door for maintenance reasons, therefore any more ants cannot leave the nest upon disturbance. Then I went for the smallest outworld they do is the arena, and then the feeding module, which is very much aimed at a seed eating ant. Because I could see this being a problem with insects, so I'm going to put the insects in the outworld for easy cleaning, but seeds can certainly be loaded up into these troughs, and as they pull them out, it should have the effect of keep refilling it. So we'll see how that works in practicality, but I am assuming it's a bit like the 2p machines in an arcade. The more they remove from below, more will fall down. So I changed the layout a bit here for size compaction reasons, so now it's all built around the outworld, and I much prefer this. So the red connections in between, they're actually blocked, okay, so they're not actually entrances, they're just holding it together. So you have to come around through the breaker module, through the feeding module, and out into the outworld, which is where their main water source is going to be. Right, let's get them out of this setup, and as it's a test tube setup, it should be... see, I wasn't expecting this, and this is where the plan went a bit skew. I had the test tube adapter, and assumed that I was going to be able to just push the test tube in, but it was the wrong size, and I had all these ants flooding out, so I had to quickly put the test tube into the outworld. At this point, I realised I hadn't even applied PTFE, so about 7 ants just walked straight out of the arena after I did that. So what I did then is did a quick PTFE, and this is where we are now. I'm now using a Q-tip to catch the escapees, and of some of the ants that were in the outworld section of the test tube holder. They're also being scavenged up and everything, and we're just making sure that we don't lose any of the workers or anything from the nest move. As you can see here, this was one of the fastest move-ins I've ever seen, to be honest. I know there's not a lot of options yet, but a lot of ants will huddle in the corner of the outworld, and it takes quite a while for them to explore into the nest and everything. These ants and queen and eggs will move straight into the queen's chamber, or the queen foundation module, which just goes to show that the moisture and everything was suitable enough that they recognised it as a suitable place to immediately move in. We're talking in less than 10 seconds, everybody was rushing in through this place they'd never been before to fill up the nest chamber. And fill it they did. So, in hindsight, I don't think I could have gone bigger, but I think they're going to use the breaker module for extra space as they grow up. But, as you'll see a bit later on, it is just about right on size. It is better to go, let's put it this way, it's about the right size now, with a tiny bit of growing room. But that is better than tons of growing room, because if I went way too big, they could feel insecure in the large space, and not only that, they might not even set up there. They might choose the breaker module or the feeding module because of the tighter, secure feeling that a closed-in space makes them feel. As well as that, if you give them too much nesting room, their rubbish tip will be established inside the nest rather in the easy accessible outworld, which is where I want them to do it. Now, even if that is the case, you know, they're gonna dirty the nest up. That's part of keeping ants, and this is a white nest, so that's always going to be a thing. But a lot of the normal dirt is created by an insect diet. Now, although these guys do get insects, they will be eating them in the outworld, and hopefully carcasses or anything like that, exoskeleton will be brought out in the trash, because that normally goes dry and crispy. It's the smaller, stickier, wet ant trash that seed eaters don't actually generate because of their main diet of seed. They generate what I like to call crumbs, because they're always chewing at these seeds in different ways. So as you can see, the queen, even though everybody has moved in and that, she's still having a bit of a wander around, probably a bit too unsure of things. I've just had a quick little clean around inside the outworld. Any debris or anything like that wasn't a seed, I just quickly removed out and give a little clean down with some water. Now, I could attach the test tube adapter to a water-filled test tube for a long-term water solution, and that is normally what's recommended. But for the sheer size of the outworld and everything, it's even quite perfect to put like this central column in of this biformica water feeder. I'm not saying I'm going to stick with this. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I might move over to the test tube setup, where they have to go into like a test tube to drink, but for now I want to make sure that this is their only home and they don't find anything else suitable. So as you can see on size that I was talking about, this module is just right for now. They later on fill up the lower section of the entrance with seed, but that's perfectly fine. They've got multiple little levels, and they're using the space how it's meant to be intended to, and there's quite a bit of room there to grow into. And I think the idea is, I will get another 2-slot module, the same size as this, but just without the clay part of the insert, and I will attach it next to it, so I can expand the nest in 2s instead of 4s. But as you can see, I'm really quite happy with their progress, and they came to me with not a lot of workers, and we've had quite a bit of progress. Obviously there was a small die-off at the start. A lot of that comes from the stress of being in a test tube in the post. Anything can happen to your ants. So you've always got to expect some sort of die-offs and that. So, they arrived at about 15 workers and they dropped to about 7. And then they've vastly increased to where they're probably pushing the 30 worker mark now. And everything's going really well. The plan is with this setup here is to see how well it all works in long term. what I'm going to do is expand this in every direction until they have enough space. Give them different outworlds or the larger version of the outworld. Just keep this one solid expandable block and bring you review videos on the individual modules as we work our way through them. Most of everything that you see here has actually got a review video out. Talking of my most recent Antspace review video, that was the last video back, the lid had a problem that I pointed out in the review, and it's already been redesigned, and Antspace sent me out 2 replacement lids with this new handle, meaning that the outworlds now are as described. The feeding hole and everything all works perfectly, and I was really happy that they turned that around in like 2 days and had it shipped out to me. So I'm really glad that they've done that and everything, and all the customers, you know, that are going to buy this outworld now get a lid working fully. I was really impressed by the turnaround. Anyway guys, I'm going to catch you in the next one, and I hope you enjoyed.